Everybody.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So today's topic is how to prevent buyer's remorse. I'm sure that we've all experienced this. I mean, think about it. Go back in the past and imagine a time where you went through the process of buying something. You know, you went through the sales process, you ended up committing, you spent the money, and then you felt buyer's remorse. Eek.
Could there have been some questions you wished you'd asked?
Yes.
But you didn't ask at the time, and then you're desperately regretting making that purchase because you're like, you know what? I wish I knew more information.
Yeah.
And I wish I asked more questions before I made that decision.
Yes. And have you ever, as a salesperson or a business owner, sold something to somebody, and then after they started going through the process, they were like, this is nothing like I expected. In fact, they will even go to the point of trying to get a refund or stop working with you. Has that ever happened to anyone? Because I know that it's happened pretty much to everyone we know and we work with, as well as our own company. So here's the thing. This happens because, just like Brandon said earlier, you didn't ask questions. So you as a salesperson and you as the buyer, it's your responsibility to ask those specific questions.
And here's a great line. When somebody says, we're going to do everything for you. We've got this covered.
We got it covered.
Don't you worry about a thing.
Don't you worry about a thing.
How specifically
do you have it covered?
How specifically are you going to do everything? And what specifically is everything?
That's right.
That's kind of important, yeah?
What does everything mean to you? Because remember, in NLP, we talk about everybody has a different model of the world, which means that everybody has a movie in their mind.
A picture, a
sound, feeling, taste, smell, self-talk. They have past experiences.
Of what everything is.
Yes, and what everything means. And every word that people use has a specific movie that is created in their mind. So when somebody comes to buy a product, they already played a movie in their mind of how it's going to go.
So you go the opposite of it and you ask, so you're going to do everything. Is there anything you won't do?
Yes.
What specifically will you not cover or will you not handle in this transaction?
Yes.
That's a really good question. Most people think I'm going to do everything because a salesperson's trying to sell.
Yeah.
That's their job. Good for
them.
Broken
promises. And it's not, maybe to them, everything means A, B, and C.
And maybe everything in their mind was just A, B, C.
And then to the person buying the product, maybe it's A all the way to Z. That means everything. So you see the difference. It's because we have specificity and then we have people that are super big picture. It's a breakdown and chunk size. And so what we do when somebody is saying these ambiguous words or big picture type of language patterns, you want to get more specific to get that data out so you know specifically what they're thinking in their mind and what everything means to them.
Hey, Brian, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Brian.
So we're talking about how to prevent buyer's remorse. And this happens in real estate. This happens in a lot of different industries.
Coaching, training.
And the number one reason why this especially happens in a service-oriented business or industry is because we didn't ask enough questions when we should have asked. And if we're a consultant, right, if we're a salesperson and we want to prevent buyer's remorse with our clients, what are those key sets of questions that we need to ask our client to make sure we're totally fulfilling their needs, their values, their fears, and everything that motivates them toward or away from the product?
Especially if you have a product or service that is one of those things that people get confused about anyways, like marketing or like NLP. Like a lot of people truly don't understand when they first start the process of the buying process with us.
Or real estate, because there's a process to
that. Most people don't truly understand what it is it's like to work with our company, what specifically we offer, what is it going to change in their life, how are they going to show up differently in their relationships, how are they going to show up emotionally and react different, like all these different things. They have no idea. And so it's our job as a salesperson to paint that picture for them, literally create the movie of exactly what's going to happen so there's no surprises, and in fact it will be even better than they thought it was.
And here's the thing, this is why as consultants and business people, business owners, coaches, entrepreneurs, why we have to take responsibility to actually deliver what's going on inside our client's mind, because a lot of times they don't even know what to expect. They don't even know what the process is like.
Yes.
And they really don't even know sometimes what they want. So if a client has no clue what they want or what they should expect out of your service, then guess what? We've got to do a better job of asking questions, of actually extracting that data from the client so that we can hit the nail on the head every single time with exactly what they want and not with what they don't want.
We see this all the time when we coach real estate agents, financial advisors, any other type of services, is that people already, maybe in the past, they've been burned by a real estate agent. I've heard this a lot, like real estate agents are greedy and all these different things we've seen in the financial world. So they have this movie that they have been burned in the past, and they're bringing it into the relationship with this new consultant. So it's your job as the salesperson and the agent, because you are their leader, their coach through this process, for you to reframe and debunk and break through any of the lies that they're telling themselves a story in their mind, to where then they can get on the same page with you.
We call that in NLP jargon, it's the internal representations that someone has in their mind, right? The package that makes up the way they make decisions, the way they, act, behave, et cetera. So we really, just to make it simple, we call it mindset. They're coming in with a mindset, right? Which is more than just the mindset, because it's visual, it's kinesthetic, they feel things about your service, about the product. They already have tried it on or not tried it on. So we have to really essentially debunk and unpack their mindset before they make that decision.
All their limiting beliefs, all their past experiences, maybe positive or maybe negative.
Because if we don't, and we didn't ask a few questions to make sure that the client would be totally satisfied with the product or totally satisfied with the service, and they got exactly what they wanted, and then we want to future pace them, right? We want to future pace it and say, okay, cool, this is exactly what it's going to be like once you have this service or product. So that way they're like, wow, okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or what about this and this and this?
So you're filtering through in the sales process. We talked about this in Selling to Serve. It's like literally you're filtering through as a salesperson, figuring out if they're a good candidate or not. So and the second thing I wanted to talk about is first asking questions and extracting the data. Again, are you talking in big picture language patterns? So get out of the client what specifically is going on their mind. And then also for you as the business owner or sales representative to be very crystal clear of what you do and what you do not do. You need to debunk and you need to clearly state these things in the sales conversations.
Boundaries. We got to define these boundaries in this conversation, because at some point you might say, if the client says, I want this and this, you say, well, we don't do that and that.
But however,
we do this, this, and this. And if that works for you, then we can move forward and proceed. If it doesn't, maybe we're not a good fit. And that's something that you want to have. That conversation has got to be it's got to be
in the beginning.
It's got to be up front.
Yeah.
Because at the end, it's going to be buyer's remorse.
Exactly.
Without a doubt.
And as long as, and people are usually cool with that, as soon as you say, this is what I don't do and this is what I do. However, if this is something that's important to you, you want to get specific on why that is important to them, because maybe it's something that they had in the past experience that didn't get met. And so then you can figure out another way to solve that problem, and something that's aligned with your company's policies and procedures and within the boundaries of what you want to do as a business owner in the context of that relationship.
And if you ever define something as it's not happening, or you're not going to do a certain feature, product, or service within the whole industry process, then the reason why you want to define that now is because you want to be able to maintain the relationship. You want to be able to say, hey, this just simply isn't a good fit.
And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you should do that. It's qualifications, and it's going to save you time and energy in the long run, and people will respect you for it. In fact, and a lot of times people will, at first, when you put down your boundaries, sometimes there will be some sort of negotiation and conversation around that. And it's your job as a salesperson, again, to lean into those conversations and really put on your problem solving hat and figure out if there's other ways that you can solve what they think that they need. But a lot of times they come in with what they think they need, and you are the expert, and you need to take the power back and tell them how you work, and this is why you work this way.
And then define the why.
Yeah.
Why it is this way. Because a lot of people
they don't know.
They need to know the why. And once you answer the why you're not going to do this service or product or provide this extra, then they're going to say, oh, I can appreciate that. So a lot of people just need the why. Clarify the why you do it that way, because if it's your process, it's your policy, it's your procedure, whatever, and then just it's resolved.
And again, it's your choice to work with people that are willing to follow your process, because if they don't start following the process in the beginning of the sales cycle, they're probably not going to follow it later on.
That is such a big thing in business. There are so many people working with clients they really don't want to work with,
Yeah.
but they never qualified the client so much to the point that they're like, is this the ideal client that I want to work with? Is this the ideal client that's going to refer me lots of business, that's going to leave me a great testimonial, a great review?
Totally.
The more you define that client, the more you kind of unpack their challenges and problems, the more you can understand and say, you know what? Yes, I'm willing to take this client on, or nope, I'm going to refer this client out because we're just not a good fit.
And then you check yourself. Again, this is another thing we talk in our training is perceptions projection. If you have all these clients that don't want to follow your process and stomp all over your boundaries, where do you do that in the same buying process? Or maybe you do it in another area of life. Where are you going unchecked with your own personal boundaries? Or maybe you walk on other people's boundaries, or maybe you're not clear in your boundaries, or maybe you don't ask questions when you're buying.
We don't attract the clients we want. We attract the clients we are. And the way we get better clients is we resolve the bad client inside of us.
Exactly.
Because at some point, there's always some part of us that's like, you know what? I wish I wasn't this way. It's time to clear it out. It's time to get acknowledge it and take responsibility for it, so that we can get better clients.
As soon as you bring it to light or awareness or consciousness, however you want to put it, then you have the chance to change it in yourself. And by the way, as soon as you change it in yourself, this is the work that we do in timeline therapy. When you get the learning and then you take action on the new you will find that your movie will change and people will start behaving differently.
All of a sudden, those clients that
they don't bother you anymore.
They tend not to, they just drop off.
Yeah.
They're not an issue anymore.
Or you choose not to work
with them.
You know
when you've changed and resolved something within yourself because the client that used to bother you no longer does.
Yes.
And so now you can take on that client if it's the kind of client you want as far as qualifications go.
Well, we hope this was hopefully
good.
Very, very
useful information.
And if it was, please share it with someone you know. And also please join our YouTube channel where you can find all of our videos in one place. So
absolutely. So set your goals big, go out there and crush 2020.
And we will continue.
I know we are.
Yes, we are. We will talk about more of this on Monday.
Absolutely. See you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like our content and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button below. We'll be posting videos every single week.
And if you want to learn more about NLP or a certification program or even performance coaching, come join us on our website at yagertraining.com, and you can find the link in the description below. We hope to see you on the next video. Thank you.